If you're struggling with getting full melodies in your productions, I'm going to show you how to transform your productions from sounding like this to sounding like this. If you know what to do, hit the subscribe button down below and let's get started. So when making melodies, the first thing that you need to consider is the quality of the sounds you use, all right? And that's why I invest a lot into using third-party plugins, right? Like for example, you can say this plugin, Lounge Lizard, is made specifically for playing electric pianos, right? And this guy as well, made specifically for playing grand pianos or piano sounds, right? So when you have plugins that tailor to specific functions, you tend to get a much higher quality from those sounds than plugins that have just general sounds in them, right? So please invest in decent quality sounds. Some free sounds are still very good, right? I still use a lot of stock plugins, which you see in this tutorial. I still use a lot of stock plugins to complement my productions, but always try and pick out high quality sounds. That is the first step, very important step that you need to get through. So when we're talking of melodies, right, the next thing that you need to get right is chords, right? Because if you don't have good chords, everything else is going to fall flat because your melodies, your bass line, your pads, everything is going to rely on your chords. In fact, what the artist is going to sing, it's going to be dependent on your chord progression. So you have to make sure you invest enough time to make really good chords. And if you're still struggling with chords, I do sell my chord pack. You can get from the link in the description below. It's very affordable. You can just drag and drop. Like for example, this right here is from my chord pack, and this is how it sounds. It's a really nice chord progression, right? Because when you have a good chord progression, it's going to make it really easy for you to make melodies. So the third thing you can do to get much fuller melodies, right, is layering your chords. And you can layer your chords with another instrument, maybe guitars, pads, another keys, synths, and the likes, right, to get it to sound much fuller. You could even use loops as well. Like for example, I have right here a loop, which is also layered with my chords. You can see having that layer can give your chord progressions, right, a different feel, different expression. So do try using layers. You don't always have to use loops. It could be another set of keys, another set of instruments. Just layer, copy your chords, paste it in there, move it up and down in the octaves, and get a different feel. All right, do try that out, and trust me, your chords will sound a whole lot more interesting. Now, the fourth thing you want to do is make sure you play simple melodies, right? Now, lots of beginners do complicate the whole production thing and play so many crazy melodies, and that can make your beats sound too busy. There's not enough space, and just makes it sound choked up and clunky, right? You don't want that. You want beats that have space. For most of the professional beats you hear, do have a lot of space for the artists to jump on them, and they still have their weight. Okay, so when picking out melodies, do make sure the melodies satisfy these two things, right? They are high quality and they have some ambience to them. Okay, like for example, if I play this melody, this right here, this counter melody, you can hear how that sustains. You see, there's a little bit of ambience to it, right? It doesn't have to stay that long, but make sure your sounds have some ambience to it because this can help fill up a little bit of space in your productions. So when I play together again, by the way, this is just a chord. It's already rendered, right? But it's just a chord I played from. I just copied the chord from previous chord progression and pasted in here, right? Then rendered it, okay? And you can see there are more melodies in here that sound even more simpler. You can see it's just a simple notes, dun, dun, just simple notes, right? So you can see another melody in here. And at the same time, you can see there's space. This melody right here is not colliding with this melody right here. There's a little bit of space for them to coexist. Right, even this guy you can see has a little bit of ambience to it as well. you can hear some reverb wash, like some reverb tail at the end, right? So you want to make sure your melodies are high quality and have some ambience to them. And talking about ambience, right? The fifth thing you need to do is add some effects to your melodies, right? Like for example, you can hear a little bit of delay in this chord. Is that melody, right? That chord melody. Now it doesn't sound that way originally. I added a little bit of delay to give it that bounce. Okay, it can help make it more interesting. Even this as well. You can hear that reverb tail attached to it. That's an effect. Reverb is also an effect. There are many more effects you could use. You could use EQ as well to shape the tone of your sound, maybe make it darker or maybe make it brighter, or even use maybe gross beats to play with the time a little bit, or phaser. There are so many effects you could use to get your sounds to be more interesting. Okay. So yeah, using effects is another way to making sure your melodies sound full and interesting. So the sixth thing that I do to make my melody sound full and interesting is that I use background melodies. Now, this is a trick, all right? When you use background melodies, they typically do not catch as much attention as your lead and your counter melodies. They're just in the background, filling up space and adding to the overall emotion of the track. Like for example, I have this right here. That's a string, I think from Citrus, right? And then we have another sound here, right here again. There's also an harp from Citrus as well. Just a single note that's playing all through. By the way, Citrus is a plugin in FL Studio. It's a stock plugin in FL Studio. So you can see having these background melodies, right, can help fill up space. You can see I'm not playing creative notes. I'm just hitting single notes. They are really single notes that just stay long. They're called arpeggios, right? They're just single notes that just stretch out long. Okay. So you can see I'm not trying to create new melody lines, try to do something, magical. I'm just keeping it really simple, but at the same time, it's filling up the space. Now, the seventh tip you can try, which is usually a surefire, is using pads. Pads is one of the easiest way to make your melody sound a whole lot fuller because it makes that section sound more intense, like gives that chorus vibe. Like for example, if I play this is a pad. So if I were to play from here, you're going to see the difference. This is before the pads. You can hear how much more intense it sounds. Let me turn it off so you hear. You see, so having pads can make your melody sound much more intense. And be careful when you use them. Sometimes you can use them all throughout the entire song. It can work. But you also need to be careful how you use them when you're structuring out your song. You need to make sure that it goes with the feeling you're trying to communicate in your project. So try taking them out in some places and bringing them in. But most times you find them in the chorus of a song, that is in the hook section of a song. Now, for the eighth tip is playing a bass line. Now, not every production needs a bass line, but most times you can't go wrong with having a decent bass line in your production. Like for example, right here, I actually have two different bass lines playing. One is just simple straight bass, and the one is a bit more melodic that is also percussive, right? So having bass can make your melody sound full and more interesting. You can even add to the groove, make it more groovy, right? Like for example, this is this section right here with just the first bass. And if I turn it off, and when I turn on the bass, you can see the bass makes it sound a whole lot fuller. By the way, this is also from an FL Studio stock plugin, Fruity, that is SimSynth in FL Studio. I like the bass, right? I think the bass square, that is the preset, the second preset in there. That's where I got this bass from. And then right here, I have the FM sub bass, another bass. Now, I'm not going to recommend you combine multiple basses in particular section of a song, especially if you're just starting out and you don't know how that works, right? Just stick to having a single bass per section. Maybe in your verse, you can have a particular type of bass, your hook have a particular type of bass, and so on. Okay. But this is because I kind of know how to play around with it. I also did a little bit of sidechain processing to have the two bass going on. Okay. So that's why I have two bass lines at the same time. And even at that, you can see I kind of left space. You can see the transients between this and this. There's some space in between, so they are not clashing. You can see that right here. So there's some space for it to actually breathe before the next bass comes in. All right. And when I play everything with the drums, and in this section right here, I have another bass element, which is actually a log drum. So what this does is it also adds to the tension in this section, right? Now it's not necessary. You don't really need this much bass in your production. But like I said, because I'm a mixing engineer, I do mix, I know how to control these problems that can occur if you have multiple basses playing at the same time in your production. So here's how it sounds. So basically, if your production has high quality sounds, has good chord progressions, right? Has simple melodies that satisfy the quality and a little bit of ambience, right? And you have some nice background melodies, okay? You have nice background melodies, and then you have decent bass lines. Most likely, 9 out of 10, you are likely going to have a full sounding song, a full sounding melody, all right? So it's not rocket science, it's really simple. We just, for some reason, try to think it's much more than it really is. But of course, it does take some efforts to find the right sound, the right combination. But that's pretty much where the fun is, right? So if you found this helpful, please hit the like button so that people that are struggling to get full sounding melodies can see this video and also learn so they can make much better music like you and I. I remain Sir Classy. This is SC Toots. Cheers.